documentary that's coming up. Let's take a look at that. In fact, this is the BBC documentary row that continues. Now, Supreme Court of the country will be hearing two pleas that are related to the documentary on February 6th. One of the pleas is filed by ML Sharma, who in fact has sought to lift a ban on the documentary. In fact, there's no ban. In fact, the links have been removed from the public domain. That is what he is contesting. And there is a separate petition that's been filed by journalist N. Ram and also advocate Prashant Bhushan on taking down the tweets that they had put out with the links of the BBC documentary will also be heard on Monday next. Taking this across to my colleague Ananya, who's joining us on the broadcast. Ananya, February 6th, I believe, is the hearing of one of these pleas. In fact, also this plea by Mr. N. Ram and Prashant Bhushan, where they have contested that the government has decided to actually take down any sort of links that have been put out either on Twitter or any form of social media.
Well, yes, there are two separate petitions that have been filed before the topmost court of the country, and it was mentioned before the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Chandrachud. Now, the first petition is filed by ML Sharma seeking to lift the ban on this particular documentary. Not only this, but this person also seeks that the BBC documentary should be examined by an independent committee, and in fact, those who are found responsible shall be prosecuted. Second petition has been filed by journalist N. Ram and Mr. Prashant Bhushan, whose tweets were actually relating to this particular documentary were actually deleted, and it has been said that the MITY has used their emergency powers in order to remove this documentary and also to remove these particular tweets. So it would be on February 6th, on next Monday, that we'll get to hear as to what the both sides have to say and how would the centre defend basically its ban or this invisible ban basically on this particular documentary, because there is no kind of a notification that has been passed. There is no kind of a circular that has been come out. But at the same point of time, the same has been banned. So we'll have to see as to how centre justifies this particular ban and how, in fact, these petitioners will be putting forth their case as to why this documentary should be shown and why it is not, in fact, something that harms the country or something that is not against the country itself. So we'll get to hear it on September 6th. Another important question and a very, very interesting question would be as to what bench would this matter go with. Definitely because these are PIL, they would probably go before the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Mr. Chandrachud's bench. But we'll have to see if another quorum is assigned for this particular petition. Gregor.
Ananya, Centre is quoting IT rules, I believe Rule 16, when it is about taking down the links which have been there in the public domain, even the respective links that were put out despite the kind of links that were blocked in the country. What does this IT rule really say under which the government has done that? Because essentially there is no ban that can be imposed. However, the access is something that has been blocked by the Centre.
Well, definitely. The IT rules basically are in fact the governing the rules with regards to the social media intermediaries, and wherein it has been clearly mentioned under Section 16 that if at all something is against the country, something that while disrupts peace or creates violence in the country or somewhere or the other is a propaganda against the country, then the same can be blocked by the government and the government can pass blocking orders. Remember that a similar matter is also pending before the Kerala High Court, where various orders of in fact, the government of India blocking certain kind of Twitter accounts and other social media accounts are challenged before the Kerala High Court. So it would be very, very interesting to see also on the point of IT rules as to what would be cited by, in fact, the central government apart from Section 16. And apart from these IT rules, what other sections would the government be invoking and what would the government be saying when it comes to defend this particular invisible ban, I would say, on this particular BBC documentary, the two parts that have been created by BBC. But at the same point of time, whether the petitioners would be able to make a good case against the Supreme Court, whether the centre would be able to defend it before the topmost court of the country is a matter of time, and we'll get to know.
Right. Ananya, but very quickly, I just want to understand from you this plea that has been filed by journalist N. Ram and also Mr. Prashant Bhushan. Are they sticking with this one argument that in a democracy you can't give certain gag orders, or there is more to it when it comes to their plea before the court?
Well, since the whole plea could not have been accessed by us at this point of time, the clear argument that has been put forth by Mr. Prashant Bhushan and in fact Mr. N. Ram, senior journalist, is their Twitter accounts were actually blocked. And this is there is a freedom of speech and expression in democracy, and that should be upheld. And people should be allowed to tweet whatever they want to.
Okay.
But at the same point of time, we'll have to see as to how the central government would be defending all of these allegations that have been leveled against.
Right, absolutely. Ananya, thank you so much for that perspective. Let me actually quickly go to my colleague Sharon also. Sharon, who is covering, all these screenings that have, in fact, been organized, not just in the national capital, but also in other parts of the country, especially by student groups. Now, Sharon, the fact that despite there's so much of row over this documentary, there have been these spurts of screenings that continue to happen despite this call for a ban by the centre. What is it that you have actually learned from the ground, especially when it comes to students? The fact that they're still going ahead and wanting to screen the documentary, leave aside, just for everybody to be able to access it.
Well, Griha, one question that we have asked all these student organizations who have in fact been attempting to screen BBC documentary in some universities, they have in fact went ahead with screening of both the parts. In Presidency College in Kolkata today, the second part will in fact be screened. One question that we have asked all these students have been that why is it that you have to, do an event and screen it with so many people? Why can't you use your smartphone or your, projector and do it in a room or inside? But they all have been saying this is a symbolic protest. This is a way of telling the government that they cannot, reject any or block any art in the form of documentary, art in any form, because that is infringement of freedom of expression, and that is what they want to show the government. Now, the government has made it very clear that the screening is in fact illegal because the BBC documentary in India at the moment has in fact been blocked, but that has not stopped these student organizations starting from JNU, Jamia, Hyderabad University, Madras University, Presidency College. We have seen how they have in fact went ahead and have been trying to screen the documentary, and these students have been saying that this will not stop. And now in the upcoming budget session as well, we are going to see the opposition parties also raking up this issue, saying that this is infringement. You cannot ban or you cannot block any such documentary because there is criticism against the government. And now the matter has reached the Supreme Court as well. So the opposition parties and the activists and the experts are clearly, putting pressure on the government to lift the blockage or the ban that they have put on documentary, saying that this is just because there is criticism, they cannot really shut the documentary at the moment. So from the students' politics, we are going to see politics in Parliament as well, and now the matter has reached the Supreme Court as well.
Absolutely, and that's a very important point that you made, Sharon. But, going back to college campuses and talking about students in particular, we have seen very, very starkly what happened at the Jawaharlal Nehru University or what happened at Jamia. I would still like you to tell our viewers what is the stance of the college authorities, because here we're talking about students. Every administration, when it comes to education, would not want any kind of disruption of peace and harmony. Are they one with the idea that there should not be any screenings, whether it is a left-leaning university or not, that cannot be allowed, or there are varying, statements that are coming out from various college and university administrations? Sharon?
Well, any university you see where the student organization has in fact been making an attempt to screen the BBC documentary or have already screened it, they have all made it very clear that they want to follow the rule of the land. At the moment, the BBC documentary is illegal. It is blocked by the government, and that is the rule that all the universities want to follow. Now, this particular rule, it was imposed on students is what they have been saying. When we talk about JNU, JNU on the first day, the administration has made it clear that no screening will be allowed. Delhi University had made it clear no screening will be allowed. Similarly, we have seen in Jamia University as well, the administration has made it very clear that action will be taken against anyone who try to make an attempt to screen the BBC documentary. But if you see the Hyderabad University or the Jadavpur University, for that matter, or Presidency College, we have seen the non-BJP state rules are not really imposing it much on ground, and that is why probably the Presidency College went ahead with the first part. We have seen how Hyderabad University have went ahead with both the screening of both the parts. So, but in BJP rule states, we are seeing more such, adamantly the rules are being followed. Universities have made it very clear we don't want to do any politics, and hence the students should not be attempting to screen any such documentary.
All right.